You are listening to Moneyality with the Miss Moneyalogist, Tanya Collins.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Moneyality with Tanya Collins, the Miss Moneyalogist. I am so excited to start this evening. I am going to share so many great things with you today. Today's topic is Moneyality and Me. It's just my personality. That is what we're going to be talking about. I've really been trying to find the perfect time to really dig into explaining how moneyality is going to be the new up and coming thing for you, not just for you as a parent or an aunt or uncle or grandmother. It's actually designed for your children. And so I'm really excited to start off by telling you that it has taken me several years to get here, and I am arriving, and I'm still striving really hard to make sure that I am going to develop an amazing course called Moneyality, Activate Your Mind, Circulate Your Money. So I want you all to sit back right now and just maybe even get your paper and pencils or pens together, because I'm going to be providing some really fantastic information that will be able to help you understand yourself, as well as getting you in the mindset to get prepared to help your children understand money. Money is not as all people have thought about. Money is actually an amazing tool. It's used all over the world. There are so many different types of currency, and people use it to have it as a tool to purchase things, but it's also a tool to be used to put value on things. And so it's all a lot of different strategies that we use with Moneyality to help us become better people and to better have financial health as we grow and learn more about Moneyality. So I am prepared to tell you that Moneyality is the first step to elevate your financial DNA. And some people may say, well, what do you mean by your financial DNA? Well, your financial DNA is how you were born. And you were born, and they say that you have an innate feeling about your personality, and that personality determines how you develop your feelings for money and even how you think about money. So that's how I have decided to define financial DNA, is that it's something that we're born with, and it's the understanding and appreciation of how we're going to have interactions with finances as we grow older. Because one of my favorite things is that I like to tell people to think back to when you were a child, just how were you and when were you thinking about your first thoughts about being a child. So I want you to kind of just follow along. But before we even get started, at this point of the show, I have been so excited about all the great people that have supported me this far. And I want to just give a great shout out to all my Moneyality support team for this podcast, the people that are sponsoring it to make it be the best that it can be for you guys. So I'm going to start with Joy Media Group, and you can reach Joy Media Group at joymediagroup.net, and the number is 901-268-8102. And then we have Nick Venti Design, one-stop shop for mobile apps and animation and web design. That number is 662-902-9737. And we have Kevin White with State Farm Insurance. And we have New Era Pest Control at newerapestcontrol.com. And that number is 901-398-73 78. And those are my great sponsors. And I just want to thank them and let them know how much I appreciate and love their support. So, on to the next thing, our topic for tonight. The first thing I would always ask people to do if you come on to the show or just when you're preparing yourself, remember that Moneyality is going to be a course for children and it's for K through 12. But before I can really just present it to them, I want you all to understand. I want you to think back to what was your first memory of money. Is it something you remember when you were very young? Was it an experience that you had when you went to a store? Or did somebody give you a few pennies and coins? Or did you get $1 from someone? I mean, there are an array of different memories. Some of you all are going to have to go back way farther than others, maybe, and think about it. But from all my previous guests, I've asked them, what is your first memory of money? So tonight, since this is Moneyality and Me, I am really going to break it down to you on my very first experience that I remember about money. I was a little girl, about 5 years old. I lived in this town in Mississippi. I consider myself a Ritz girl, which is a woman raised in the SIP, which is Mississippi. And I grew up in what we call the projects of this small town. And it was a family to me. It was everything about growing up. I feel like I had an amazing childhood. But what I also remember at 5 years old is that there was a community park right next door to where my mom lived. And I could just literally walk across the street to this community park. It's where I have all my favorite memories of playing softball. Everything about who I was happening at this community park. And so from there, at 5 years old, I was coming from the country, they would say, my grandparents' house. And so I wasn't knowledgeable of how, popcorn was given, like you could sell popcorn, and they had these ice things that I didn't know at that time were called snow cones. And I was just seeing people with them, and I thought, wow, I want one of those. So I remember going to the concession stand and asking the lady for one of the ice things. And she said, "Are you talking about a snowball?" is what we call them. And I said, "Yes, I guess so." So she prepared this snowball. She said, "What flavor?" And I said, "All of them," because I really did not know what flavor she really even meant. Like, I did not know those things. So she brings it back to the counter and she says that it's 35 cents. So I'm a 5-year-old, guys, standing at a counter and I don't have 35 cents. I don't even know what 35 cents is. And so I tell her, "I'll be right back." And I run back across the street and I tell my mom that I need this 35 cents, that this woman is waiting for me. And I got to take her this 35 cents to get this snowball. Of course, I get that 35 cents, which was a quarter and dime. And guys, I'm telling you, that quarter and dime meant the world to me. And having that experience, it just makes my heart overflow now. I think about saving that quarter and dime and I purchased it. And that was like my favorite thing. And even today, snowballs are my favorite things. But that memory of learning that 35 cents would be able to get me one of my favorite things, which was snowballs. And I remember starting to save a quarter and dime. And as I shared before, that I remember getting 2 nickels and a quarter. And I remember saying that's not 35 cents because I did not understand that 2 nickels was the equivalent of that dime. So I laugh about it and I think, wow, I'm 5 years old. Some people might say, "Oh, you should have, it's okay. You didn't have to know your numbers or be able to count coins at that time." But it's not that part that I want to focus on. The part that's so important to me is that I started at that moment saving money. And that was like a automatic exciting thing for me was to collect coins and by any means necessary to save this money to get my favorite things. And I also started wanting snowballs and I wanted the hamburger. So I learned to save and I did not use it every day. I was very strategic. I would save 35 cents and then I would get $1 maybe. And I learned how to divide. I mean, understand me. Mathematics is part of money and understanding how to divide $1 into 35 cents and understanding those coins. So what I'm really telling you is that I taught myself how to do math by using coins. And that is my personality. So Moneyality is part of me understanding how I felt and what I how I felt and what I thought about saving money. And so my money personality is I'm a keeper, which is a saver. And that's really the biggest push of why I even started to do this business. So at that point, I just want you to know that at any age, and I'm telling you, I've already told you it's part of our financial DNA. So at any age, whether you remember it or not, that's okay. But at the early ages, it's in us. Now, how do you activate that, right? You need to activate your mind. How do you activate your mind to understand these money stories? Well, for me, it was saving. And then I started understanding that I could save a lot of money, more than just the 35 cents. And therefore, I could get the snowball, I could get the popcorn, I could get the hamburger. And that was the first start of me really understanding what saving was like. And my other favorite story behind that is that one of our family friends gave me a commercial beer can. So it was a promotional can. It was really big. And they taught me how to save $50. So I took this big promotional beer can and I started saving $50 in that. And that was a great experience. And one thing that also got me into studying moneyality is that I remember when I was asked once by an adult, did I have some money? And they were about to give me money. And I stood there and they said, do you already have money? And I just kind of stood there because I didn't know if I was going to try to make up a story and say I did. I didn't really know what to do in that situation. And I thought I didn't say anything. And I remember them telling me that it was okay if I had money. That wasn't going to stop them from giving me this extra money. It was just that they were emphasizing to me that it was okay that I had started saving my money. And that to me put me on a road to understand that to save money was not a bad thing, that I did not have to lie and say that no, I didn't have any money just to get replenished to get money. And it also I was also able to feel good about doing something that I loved, which was saving. And my biggest part of that also is that I hear, and I've actually done it before, where I've had a niece and nephew around me, and I'll say, hey, don't you already have some money? And they just kind of looking at me because kids don't really know what to say. They may say yes, but nobody really wants to give you their money, so they don't really know what's the next question. And you may say, if you got some money, I'm not going to give you any money. And I always think, like, let's be clear on when we do that, because Moneyality talks about your money personality. So if you're doing that with a child that is a keeper like me, then it could make it made me feel reassured when I had positive feedback, where it wasn't that, oh, I'm not going to give you any money because I know you already have some. And then you turn right around and give the next child or the sister or the brother some money. Now, where is the equality in that? And it's just a lot. I could just go on and on about that because that is really like a heartbreak for me. And sometimes I really know as a teacher, I want us to always be clear when we're talking about money to anyone. Be very clear. Even with adults, we have to be very clear that we understand that money to different people means different things, and it can make you be triggered in different ways. So do not talk and expect everyone to think about money the way you do. That's the top and bottom line on that, and especially children. And that's my biggest focus, is making sure that children understand how they feel and how they think about money so it can better improve their lives. And the last comment I have to say about my first memories of money is that I do remember my mom telling me that she had a Christmas club account that she saved, and I will say probably for our Christmas gifts. And I remember that being said to me, and I thought, I want one of those. And I'm telling you guys, I started a Christmas club. If I started thinking about money at 5, I'm going to say probably by 6, 7, I had a Christmas club. And I'm sure my mom had to go get this set up at the Bank of Winona, is where I'm from. But I remember having that Christmas club, and there lies me starting to actually put money in the bank. And I kept an account with that bank all the way through college. Like, I had my own account, and I'm telling you, I started it with a Christmas club account. So if I am a keeper, can you imagine the life I have lived as a child, saving money on and on and on? But I'm not just going to talk about me. I'm going to get to understanding how other children have thought about money as well. So what I always want people to know, that Moneyality, the goal of it is to make sure that we have a good idea of how you think and feel about money. And then we need to recognize that the people around us, they may not respond. As I said, they may not respond to money as we do. So be careful on how we're going to talk to people. And my goals are to have strategies that when I do reference someone, and some of the students that are going to be in my program, is that I'm trying to reach them where they are with the mindset and the moneyality type that they are. And I also just want people to have a life that they can live and they can forgive and heal themselves, especially when you have gotten older and you feel like, wow, I've made these poor choices. We all have made poor choices. And every one of us have the 5 money personality types within us. And I have said it in every episode that to define moneyality, moneyality is knowing your money personality. There are money personalities are the ways you feel and think about money. And there are 5 moneyality types. They are splurger, keeper, tracker, adventurer, and mingler. And as I go through this episode of Moneyality and Me, it's just my personality. I am going to be deep diving into more of them. So this episode is just really a deep dive into you understanding, allowing your child, your niece, your nephew, your brother, sister, whomever, to take Moneyality, the course. This is what they will be getting. So I am going to go to, what is your money personality and why should you even care? Why should you even care? So I'm going to kind of pause right here. I just want, as you all are listening to this, I just want you to think, why should it matter? And it does matter. There are lots of reasons why it matters. It reveals how you think and feel. I keep repeating that over and over again. It reveals how you think and feel about money, but it also provides financial behaviors that influence how you make financial decisions for your life. Like, we're not just talking about me as a 5-year-old. Financial decisions I've made for my life because I am a keeper have been kind of detrimental at some points because I have been stingy, as some of the words that I try to come up with to describe myself is that I have been really tight. I have been like a hoarder with my money. And they say, if you're holding it so tight, you can't you can't open your hands and let it be free. And it has taken me being an adult to really understand that, like, really over the last 7 or 8 years. And that's really why I got started. And then the third thing is that I want you to be able to explain, how do you circulate your money? And circulate is the word that I use to replace spend. When you hear somebody, doesn't it bother you when somebody's like, oh, you in there spending money? I mean, it's like the worst thing for me to hear. Are you spend too much money? Oh, I just be like, wow, really? It just seems such a negative connotation on, oh, you're doing something too much. And I just decided that's not a great word. And I'm not the first person probably to think about circulate, but I actually heard a gentleman, and he said, hey, I circulate my money. And I said, wow, I love that. And I want to use it. I want to teach people how to circulate their money. And circulate means to put it out there, to open up your hands so that you are free to use it and to purchase things and to invest in things, to save it. But circulate means that it goes around and it comes back. And I tell people, it's not the boomerang. It's not like you throw it out there and it comes back to you the same exact way. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that it's important in how you choose your wording. And circulate just tends to make it a lot easier for people to respect and not feel like they are doing something that is horrible, like, oh, the nerve of you to spend your money. Wow, it's something that you have acquired, so you should be able to kind of, manage it. But definitely, I'm going to teach you how to circulate it. So that's one thing that I do love about Moneyality, is that we took the spending and turned it into circulating. So I've shared with you what Moneyality is, that it is part of understanding your money personality. I just took money personality and joined it to make it one word and turn that into Moneyality. And the money personalities are our individual thoughts about how we feel and think about it. It's the characteristics that we display. It's how all of our memories and things that come to us. And I will tell you that your situations are, like, people say, well, it's economically based on your economics of the economical situations that you grow up in. But I want to give you a quick example of how that's not necessarily true. So if I take my best examples are always a child that's a mingler. A mingler is a child, a person who does not put emphasis on money. They actually do not like money. They are going to say money is not necessary. They know that it's needed to purchase certain things, but they're not hoarders of it. They're not all excited about it. That's not their thing. Their favorite thing is building relationships, right? So a child that is born and that lived in the projects with me, when people would say, hey, you want to go to the store, or you want to get something, and you give them a quarter or dime, that child may go to the store, but they're excited about going to the store with their friends. they're not just excited about having the quarter, they're excited about going to the store with their friends. So if their friends are buying a snowball, or if their friends are buying something and they like it, but if their friends don't have it, they will buy it. They'll help them because they want to be part of the appreciation of valuing relationships. So they don't really care about if they're using their last on their friends or their family. It's just that they are excited about building those relationships. And then think about a family that is well off, somebody that has money and their child is in the house. That same child can have a Mingler's personality because they got money, but they don't care about money. It's normally those children that are giving to charity. They go volunteer. They are the children that are going to seek out other ways to go hang out with their friends at the movie, and they're going to come and ask their parents for money for the movie, and they may even get money for each one of their friends, but it's not the quantity of the amount of money. It's just the idea that they get to go with their friends and they're building those relationships. So as you can see, that spectrum is a child that's low income, a child that's high income, but they have the same money personality. They feel the same way about money. So I kind of go, I know it can influence it some ways if people just are truly detrimental, but the core of who you are is embedded in you. And of course, yeah, if you don't have access to money, of course, that's going to change your thoughts and the way you feel. But the real core of who you are will always probably be the dominant factors that's going to say, I'm always going to be a Mingler, and I'm always going to feel like I'm a keeper. Even now, for me, I struggle. I have to literally go take myself through conversations to say it's okay for me to splurge now, or to even be a Mingler and give freely to charitable things and things like that. I'm very in a sequence of how I think and strategize with understanding my finances. So that's what I'm going to say about that. All right, let's move on. I will tell you, hold on. I will tell you that I'm going to now give you a quick overview of what are the 5 moneyality types. And the first one is a splurger. Don't you just love the name splurger? You just kind of already know. What is a splurger? A splurger. What is a splurger? A splurger. These are some people that just really love the enjoyment of buying things. They just like it. They like the instant gratification of it. They love to shop. They love to be very persistent, and they rarely seek advice before they start purchasing things. They just feel like that's not where their heart is. So so they just think, hey, I just want to have a good time. They crave the idea of going out, and they're very generous to others. A splurger will go and they will splurge. I mean, at one point I was thinking they are the ballers of the 5 moneyality types. They are the ballers. So you got the splurgers, but they will have buyer's remorse. And you kind of get that. Buyer's remorse is powerful. I get buyer's remorse for sure, because as a keeper, if I'm purchasing something, I'm totally analyzing it in my head, but they definitely get buyer's remorse. And that's probably something that you can kind of see throughout, because that splurger is within all of us. And so the next one we want to talk about is the tracker. These are the planners. They plan. Plans are everything to them. Plans are nothing. Planning is everything. That's one of my quotes that I have for them. And they plan for the future. And who wouldn't want to plan for the future, right? But not everybody is planning for the future. So they are researchers. They are the candidates of just always having assets, and they look to be controlling over these things. And so I'm giving you some of the highlights, but as I go through the presentation in the episode for us tonight, I'm going to tell you at the end some ways that we're going to talk about how we can use strategies to kind of help manage these thought processes. So they leave nothing for chance. They are just really rigid, and they have delayed gratification. They may see something that they want, but they got to go research it. They got to go make sure it's something they really need. And I actually have Tracker in my life. It's like my number 3. When I rank myself, I know that I'm a keeper, I'm an adventurer, I'm a tracker, I am a mingler, and then I'm a splurger. Splurger is totally the opposite of what I am. So I'm not going to stay much longer on that. So we're on Tracker. And so the next one is the keeper. So the keeper is me. Remember, I am the keeper. The keeper is a thinker and more cautious. I just love so many things about being a keeper and just being able to have accounts. So let me tell you guys, right now, right this minute, if I am going to try to guess, remember, I started with a Christmas Club account when I was about 6 or 7, right? So right now, which is a pretty positive thing. I actually was reading how it really helps if you do this, but I have about 8 accounts, and some of them are checking accounts, some of them are savings, some of them maybe a CD and things like that. But for me, I name them. I actually go through and I have one for household bills. I have one for miscellaneous. I have one for I recently started thinking I was going to call them by the 5 Moneyality types, which I am going to condense some of them. I have one for, I call my sunny day savings. I do not do rainy day. I remember a story that my nephew, when I was sharing with him about money, I remember telling him that it was important that he have an account where he could save his money. All right, the next one. Let's move on. We're going to go with the adventurer. Wow, that is me. That is my secondary Moneyality type. I am an adventurer. I love to take risks, guys, and I find myself in a battle with myself. Like, how do you love to take risks, Tanya, when you are so tight with money? Well, I don't know, but I am like a big risk taker. I can make really quick decisions sometimes, but I will tell you that this is the struggle with me. And this is why I want to be able to explain to children that maybe even in their earlier ages that sometimes there's going to be a battle in your mind when you're trying to decide how you're going to budget or how you're going to put your priorities of bills or what do you want, or that Instagram, that's going to be a struggle. And so I struggle with the keeper and the adventurer part of who I am. I am an amazing negotiator. I will tell you, I am a negotiator. I love that. I am also a visionary. I love to think about and see the things that are right there and the things that are the possibilities of things. I am an optimist. I just see that there's always a possibility, and hearing the word no is just like, oh, that's not really something that I try to even deal with. Like, I know there are no's. I live in a real world. I'm not against just knowing reality exists, of course. But that doesn't always mean if you don't ask, you don't really know. I pride myself on not trying to think for people. And that's a part of being an adventurer. I just kind of make the quick decisions. I am quick to talk to people, but I am careless sometimes about details. That's one of the characteristics of an adventurer. I can be insensitive sometimes because for me it's that go get them, like let's do this. And as I say, the one of the biggest reasons that I started Moneyality was to be able to appreciate the differences and the different behaviors and the different attitudes and the personalities of how we deal with money. So that's very, very important to me. And the last one is the mingler. The mingler is easy going. I always say it's easy going emerald, and it's the person that is going with the flow. They are relationship builders. They focus on the here and now. They're not projecting off like, what am I going to be doing in 10 years? They are loyal friends and supporters. I'm telling you, it's nothing like a mingler. Um, they are nonchalant about money. And there are pros and cons, of course, with all of them, but sometimes it's I need that. Sometimes I really have to pull that mingler up in me and say, hey, let's not sweat this small stuff. Let's not drive around the city looking for a free park. Let's just go on do this valet, Tanya, because it can get crazy. You can miss big events doing petty things about not wanting to pay for a $10 park. I mean, I laugh at myself sometimes so hard because this is real life. This is things that I have done. Like, unbelievable. It's just now I know, no, I got time. I don't have that kind of time anymore to just really just be riding around looking for parking spaces. So I love those things that I have to bring up out of me that are the mingler personality. I like being laid back. I like to kick it with my friends. It's just some things that are in me, I just have to really pull from them to realize that this is all part of having a good life. So I'm really excited about that. And now I kind of want to talk to you about some of the questions that I have that I'm going to share with you that will help you gauge what is your moneyality type. So if you have a pencil or pen, as I asked you, maybe you want to take some notes with this. I'm going to read a few questions and I want you to think about which one of these answers would be better for you, right? And so you can write it down. And after you get some answers and you start thinking about this, I want you to go to my YouTube channel and make some comments about what you felt about answering some of these questions, and I can respond back to you. But these are questions more geared for you as adults, but there is a whole assessment for children. I have an assessment for middle to high school, those teen years, and my goal is to have the elementary one develop as well. So I'm going to launch my Moneyality business with the middle school, high school assessment, Moneyality assessment. But these are a few questions I just want you to think about as an adult as you're listening to the podcast. So the first one, it says, when it comes to saving money, I'm going to read 5 answers and you're going to decide, are you a B, C, D, or E? And you're going to think about it. And like I said, if you have paper or something, you can kind of jot this down. That'll be great. But the first one is, when it comes to saving, A, I know I ought to be saving, but I never seem to be able to. B, I really enjoy saving. In fact, I spend a lot of time and energy thinking about how to save. And C, I have trouble saving money and this bothers me sometimes. And D, I spend only for things I really need. And the letter E, saving comes naturally to me. I save regularly. Those are the five. And I'm not going to be able to read all of them again, but I will tell you the answer to each one of them. So, letter A, if you answered, I know I ought to be saving, but I never seem to be able to, you are a splurger. Letter B, I really enjoy saving. In fact, I spend a lot of time and energy thinking about how to save. That's a tracker. Letter C, I have trouble saving, and this bothers me sometimes. That's an adventurer. Letter D, I spend only for things I really need. That's a mingler. And letter E, saving comes natural to me. I save regularly. And that is a keeper. So that is something you can think about when it comes to saving your money. So another question that you probably can think about is, let's go to another one. That one is not as grand. So let's go to this one. This one says, if I won $1 million in the lottery, my first reaction would be what? Now, this is one of my favorite questions. Letter A, I feel guilty thinking about impoverished people who have nothing. That's letter A. Would you feel that way? Letter B, to feel relieved that my future was now secure. That's letter B. Letter C, to be totally overwhelmed. I would have no idea how to handle it. Letter D, to start thinking about ways to make it grow and use it for my own enjoyment is letter D. And letter E is to be wildly excited, realizing that from now on, I could buy anything I wanted. That's letter E. So to go back and give you the answers, letter A, to feel guilty thinking about impoverished people who have nothing, that's a mingler. Those are mingler people. Letter B, to feel relieved in my future was now that my future was now secure is a tracker. To be totally overwhelmed that I would have no idea how to handle it is an adventurer. To start thinking about ways to make it grow and use it for my own enjoyment is a keeper. And letter E, to be wildly excited, realizing that from now on I could buy anything I wanted is a splurger. So that's if you won the lottery. So that's something to think about. I look forward to hearing your comments when you go to YouTube and just think about it, answer these. That's going to be really exciting for me to see your thoughts. And the next question would be, as far as paying taxes is concerned, guys, I think about taxes all the time. I was the person as a keeper who I took the biggest deductions I could out of my check because I've always thought that I could manage my money better than having it taken out for taxes. And I would end up paying taxes at the end of the year. But I think about it. I just want y'all to kind of think about it. And it takes a lot of discipline to be able to do it. And that's why I'm telling you, as a keeper, you have some underlining really strong discipline things that go on in your mind. Is that when I would pay back in taxes, the most that I think I've paid back in taxes is possibly $3,000. And some people say, oh, that's a lot, maybe. But can you imagine how much they would have taken out for that whole year? it sure was going to be more than 3,000. And I've always had a home-based business, so that has always been an added bonus, so I could write off my cell phone, some of my electricity, and I'm telling you, it makes a lot of sense. And I would always recommend you talk to an accountant. Don't just do what Tanya says do. Talk to an accountant when it comes to your taxes, and definitely get a personal financial advisor so you can kind of gauge on different methods you can do. But there are lots of ways to be responsible with your taxes. So this question says, as far as paying taxes is concerned, letter A, I'm always astounded to find out how much tax I owe. Letter B, I save regularly for taxes and usually file my return well before it's due. Letter C, I hate the whole thing and try to get it done with as little fuss as possible. Letter D, I always have to scramble to get to my returns done and find cash to pay my taxes. Letter E, I take pride in paying less on my increased income if I can. So going back, let's get the answers. Letter A, I'm always astounded to find out how much tax I owe. That's an adventurer. B, I save regular for taxes and usually file my return well before it's due. That's a tracker. I hate the whole thing and try to get it done with as little fuss as possible. That's a Mingler. I always have to scramble to get my return done and find cash to pay my taxes. That's a splurger. And I take pride in paying less on my increased income if I can. And that is me. And that is the keeper. So that's a good question to think about, and tell me what you think about those. And I will gladly give you some responses. And let's go to the next one. The Moneyality takeaways. You have listened to this podcast and I've talked about Moneyality. And I do want to emphasize one more time that Moneyality, Activate Your Mind, Circulate Your Money, was developed for K through 12 children. And my goal is to get it into the school systems, get it into after school system, just any avenue where I can try to educate children. But for this podcast, I wanted to make sure that the parents, the grandparents, and the uncles and aunts understood what Moneyality is so that you can support me in pushing it into those educational settings, and you can get behind it and say, my child needs Moneyality, right? And that is my hope, and that's my goal, is for all children to have access, because Moneyality will get you to understand and have an amazing financial healthy lifestyle. So the takeaways, the splurger, things that a splurger, the recommendations that I have for the splurger is circulate your money less by rethinking the value of your purchases and asking yourself, in a year, will I want this item? If no, don't buy it. Have an accountability person that you respect and value their financial advice. And that would be my advice to the splurger, the keeper, to remove your anxiety that I have. It is suggested that you set an amount for your enough, because sometimes I don't know what that is. Also, start to enjoy family, friendships, and fun. That's my takeaway for myself as a keeper and for any other keepers. And the tracker. Use your asset of planning to become a financial planner, consultant, or create a side hustle. Relax and come to terms with your control issues. Life is unpredictable. And that is advice for the tracker. The adventurer. Streamline your goals, tasks, and dreams to prevent being overwhelmed and making costly mistakes. Set financial advice before, I mean, Seek financial advice before making the big moves. So remember, adventurer is the second one for me. And so I do have to kind of balance that out because it can be like an overwhelming thing. So I do seek that advice and those takeaways for myself. And as a mingler, enjoy life. However, set boundaries, mingler. Realize money is needed to invest in your future. You really are going to have some backup. And important to work with a tax preparer who understands your desire to donate to social change and save the world, because it takes money to save the world and those things. So, bear in mind, guys, that each of these are good qualities and there are also going to be shortcomings to all of this, and that most people have a primary and a secondary moneyality type. However, all of these five moneyality types are within us, and they are determined to help us guide and gauge us through this life of understanding how to live a healthy financial life. And remember, it's part of our financial DNA that we are doing to feel comfortable and making great decisions. And if you don't always make a great decision, it's okay, because you can always have a comeback, right? And that's always important. So I love that. And those takeaways are very important. So just realize that that's what me as Miss Moneyalogist is, a person who specializes in money personalities and who is willing to help you understand that it's so important that you take advantage of the idea that moneyality can not only help you, but my goal and my focus is for moneyality is to help your children, right? So that's very important to me. So, in closing out, I do want you all to know that I am very excited to be doing this podcast. Moneyality is the new name for the podcast because I I trademark Moneyality, and Moneyality is the heart of where I am. I was using Moneyology, but Moneyology is great, but it's also trademarked for someone else. And so I knew I needed to be real, use what is important to me and what I've trademarked, and that's Moneyality. So it's been a joy having Moneyality with Tanya Collins. And I am going to invite all of you to come join me. And I want you to come join me at Salt, Memphis. And it's going to be going on. They're going to have a meet and greet, guys, and you need to be there. You'll get to meet all of the new Bumpin' 96.3 FM radio personalities. We are going to be there. Salt, Soulful Adult Leisure Therapy is what they're calling it. Are you looking for the hottest all adult atmosphere in the city? Well, look no further and come visit us at Salt Bar and Bristow and fine dining, great drinks, and live entertainment. It's free admission. We've got it covered. Conveniently located at 3101 South Mendenhall Road, and you can visit them at saltmemphis.com. And on October the 28th, they're doing the meet and greet for all of the Bumping FM 96.3 radio personalities, and I will be there representing Moneyality. And there's going to be all of us. You can come take pictures, you can come ask questions. It's going to be an amazing night. Again, it's free to get in. Happy hour starts from 5 to 7. And the introduction, they're going to have a DJ as well. And the introduction of us starts at about 8 o'clock. So you still got a little time if you're going to be getting there. But yes, please join us at Salt, Memphis, October the 28th. If you want to get there early for 5 to 7 for happy hour, we're going to be there. All of the Bumpin' 96.3 FM money personalities. I'm excited, guys. I cannot wait. I have not had an opportunity to meet all of them myself. And so I'm excited to see what they're talking about and to be able to share what I'm talking about and to be in an adult atmosphere where we can have great food, we can have drinks, we can have great conversation, and we got music so we can dance the night away. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to start following me on YouTube at the Miss Moneyalogist, and that is on that. Let me spell it for you. It's Moneyalogist, and that's the same also on Instagram. It's double TheeMs Moneyalogist. So that's going to be my handle for Instagram and YouTube. This is going to be an amazing future for you to come and continue to follow me for Moneyality. And I look forward to all the experiences that I'm going to have. And if you have any questions, you also could email me at moneyalitycourse@gmail.com. And the number is 724-242-7458 if you want to reach out and talk and call me, or you can email me at that email address. So signing off, and thank you for listening. I hope you have gotten an informative information, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
You are listening to Moneyality with the Miss Moneyologist, Tanya Collins.